No pipe bombs were discovered in or near the house that they were living in Watertown. They were found on Commonwealth Avenue, and of course they were found on the Boston Marathon site.
That's right, and of course, keep in mind this individual, and Bob, you can speak to this as well, involved in that shootout last night. We understand he's injured from that shootout last night. He's in another shootout tonight. I mean, who knows what his condition is right now?
Right, and I mean, there might be a reason why
Bob,
he stayed in one place and couldn't move.
Hold on one second. We are bringing in some new video right now of a gentleman from law enforcement carrying a young girl in his arms. And it's just, you can imagine the fear and shock that she has. But they got her off to safety here. We're not sure if she's injured or not, but she was being carried out by law enforcement. And then a father came running out with a daughter in his arms, it appears. Another member of law enforcement helping that family bring people across. On the line right now is our investigative reporter, Mike Bodette. Mike, this is video just in from earlier tonight, just before nightfall, as the gunshots were ringing out, and we have a number of people helping a family escape the area in which this suspect is holed up in. It would appear as they drew their rifles and got down on the ground and ready right near that house at 67 Franklin Street. What do you know?
Right, it's really incredible video, Mark, when you look at it, and also the fact that this situation has just changed so dramatically since that press briefing we had, and then all of a sudden all this information started coming in. I am being told by my sources as I check in with them that there is a real concern here that this suspect has explosives on him, and that is why they are being so cautious when they go in.
Right.
Now recall, when we had suspect number one last night, when we heard from the doctors, they said that he suffered from blast injuries, indicating that he did have some sort of explosives on him, so they're taking it very carefully here. They do believe that he is suffering from some injuries from last night, but again, taking the situation very carefully, very cautiously, and they want this guy alive. They want to be able to talk to him, they want to be able to gather information from him and use him as a resource to figure out why he committed this crime.
All right, so suspect number two holed up in the backyard. And again, Mike, they really want to get this guy alive. And you say they are concerned that he has explosives on his body, given it appears that suspect number one may have had explosives on his body this morning.
Exactly. That's why they ordered the SWAT team back. That's why they sent the robot in, and that's why they're moving ahead very cautiously. They know he's injured. They believe he's injured from something that went down last night, and now they're moving in, but taking it very slowly, watching him, proceeding with caution, because there is that real concern, and we've seen it with these explosive devices.
And Mike,
go ahead, Doc.
Go ahead. I was just going to say he was involved in the shootout last night. We believe he was injured in that shootout last night, and that's what your sources are saying, right?
Exactly. So they believe he is wounded from last night.
Right, and he had another shootout tonight that he was involved in. You have to wonder about his mental state. He's holed up. He has nowhere to go. He knows he's surrounded. He's obviously dealing with injuries at this point. There is the real concern that he could potentially take his own life before the authorities can get to him.
Right, I think it's got to be a real concern from the start, you know, when you're dealing with someone like this, and that's why we've seen throughout this entire process the authorities proceeding with such caution today, locking down the entire city of Boston, shutting down subway, rail, all forms of transportation, buses, and just telling everyone to stay inside, not only in Boston but in all those surrounding communities. Why? Well, we know why, because this guy's considered armed and dangerous, and now as they zero in on him, there's a real concern that he's got explosives on him like his brother did, and that he could try to not only hurt others but hurt himself at this point.
Yeah, we've seen members of ATF, we've seen the SWAT team come in, we've seen several of their trucks in the area go down that street. Again, this is 67 Franklin Street. We're in the backyard. They believe there is a suspect number two, in the boat, hidden. He was discovered when someone saw him poking holes through the tarp as it was winterized, and it's a large boat, Mike. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, the images, and if he has the ability to stand physically, he could do so and peer out and see what the landscape looks like.
I have seen it, and it just looks, you know, like a pretty wild situation, to say the least. The fact that they're now in on him after hours and hours of searching. I mean, one of the things we've seen throughout this entire week is that we don't always get all the information from authorities. They've got more information than they're actually giving out to all of us. But it is interesting to, again, point out that we had this press briefing, and then within 10, 20 minutes, all of a sudden we had this major development in the case.
It is incredible how quickly this story can change, because Governor Patrick had said, we don't have a suspect, and he had lifted the, stay in your home warning, and now look at this. We have all of the law enforcement people in our area basically converging on this area on Franklin Street. We've got suspect number 2 holed up in a boat in the backyard. He doesn't want to come out. He is surrounded. There have been explosions, and they want to make sure they get this guy out alive.
Absolutely. That's the goal, because, A, they can gather so much intelligence from him about why he committed this awful crime. And we go back to Monday and the Boston Marathon, which seems so long ago now that we